Go.
Go.
Is it on?
Is that thing on? No,
Is that
it's
thing
not.
on?
It's not. It's definitely
Hey
not.
everybody, Coach Pete back with you. Today we're going to go through some hitting stuff, some very basic hitting drills, and going through uh, the most important full body movement in hitting, which is hip rotation. Okay, there's a lot of myths out there. There's things that are being taught incorrectly, so we're going to try and get everybody on the right track and show you how critical the drills that we're going to give you are in developing that hip rotation. So hip rotation, just like pitching, without it you just lose power, right? Everything is in here. The core and the legs feed the beast, so we have to find a way to unleash the beast inside of us by using the legs and the core. Okay, so I have my second human, my older human guinea pig here, Matthew. So Matthew's in the past month or so has been working on changing some things in his hitting style. So we're putting a lot more emphasis on kind of a tap stride. I don't really believe in a big long stride for younger players. Major leaguers, it does work because they have such great balance that they can take a big stride and keep their weight back. So during the hip rotation, you want your weight to stay back in your load, which is your legs, right? So I'm going to do something really quickly here, then I'm going to let Matthew do some work, and we're going to talk about some things that are important when it comes to creating and generating that power. So what is complete rotation, hip rotation for a hitter? Complete hip rotation for a hitter is the ability to turn here, contact point, finish, head down, extend through, and when you finish your swing, pretty much both feet are facing forward, your stomach is facing forward, your bat's pretty much where it started on the right, from one side to the other, same height, but on the other side of your head, hips equal. Two hips are more powerful than one, so you want to get them equal in your turn in complete hip rotation. And your number on your jersey facing the catcher. So if you see and you watch most major league hitters that are really successful, especially when they make solid contact up the middle, if they pull, you will see from the left side all the way through, numbers face. From the right side, boom, all the way through, numbers face. Okay. So the easiest drill that I know of that helps create powerful hip rotation is simply called the hip rotation drill. I have done this in all of my hitting clinics. It's the one drill that to me doesn't go away, or a form of it doesn't go away, just like the rocker drill in pitching. So what Matthew's going to demonstrate right now is this simple hip rotation drill. He's going to set up in a stance. He's going to put his hands on his hips, right? So one thing we're adding to Matthew from last year to this year is that he never really took a stride or any sort of a tap. But he's bigger and stronger now, so now this works for him. So he's going to just tap, right? This tap, if you create this tap for momentum to generate the hip rotation, has to be done with your weight staying back. So let me kind of go over the stance really quickly. Here, you want more weight back here, right on your back foot. That's your load. Load is legs. Say that again. Load is your legs. It has nothing to do with your hands. It's your legs. So when you put more weight on your back leg, right, and if you bring in biomechanics into the equation, when you put the weight back on your legs, biomechanics tells us you want your knee on the inside of your foot, on both sides. So it's kind of a pinching of the knees. One hitter that relies on this really heavily is Chris Bryant. If you watch him, he pinches his knees. But we put the weight here. Doesn't mean that your body goes back. Your spine is straight and your head is straight. From the stance all the way through the swing, straight. We don't go forward. We don't lunge forward. So everything we do in the swing, from the tap stride to the hip rotation all the way through, the weight stays back. And what we wind up creating, as most of you know, this is the power L here, right? And what I call the strong I, your front foot kind of straight on the straight side, right? So when you do this and you finish with this strong L power I, that means you generated an explosive hip rotation, and you did it right by keeping your weight back. Okay. So what Matthew's going to do here is the hip rotation drill. He's just going to tap a few times to keep his weight back, and then he's going to go into the rotation. Okay. So you go. Yep. Weight back. Yep. Yep. This one go. On this one go. Yep. Good job. Try to get that front foot even straighter if you can. You have to do it again. Get that load, get that load. Yep. 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 Can I set up again? So what happens oftentimes when you get into a load, right, get set up, hands on hips, right, so his upper body is kind of tilted this way a little bit. I want it straight. Right? Perfectly straight up and down. Right? Now go. Yep, there you go. One more time. We'll do this one more time, and then we're going to go into the next drill. Go ahead. Yep, really good. So that's something, it's a numbers game, right? We talk about it all the time, and hopefully a lot of my students are watching. We talk about this all the time, right? The 1,000 number, the 10,000 number, the 10,000 hours. When you feel you're not hitting the way you're capable of, go back to the most basic drills there are. That's a very, very basic drill, right? If you do this drill thousands and thousands of times with your head still and your spine still, you won't pull off the ball. You'll stay on the ball and you'll drive the ball, okay? So next one we're going to do, you can hold your back on this one if you want. So this is what I call the backside explosion drill. So basically, and I have to kind of dispel, I'm not going to say a myth. I'm going to say that the way it's described is incorrect. So when we talk about hip rotation, what ignites and starts the hip rotation? Besides the tap or the stride forward, what part of the body has to explode? So we call this a backside explosion, right? It's your back hip, right here. Your core ignites and your back hip, boom, explodes and goes, right? So when we train ourselves to do that, that creates the most powerful hip rotation that you can get. So here is what I see and what I listen to with other instructors. And again, common sense has to come into play here. So I'll stand this way. So I hear a lot of coaches say, turn your knee in, turn your foot in. No, it doesn't work that way. Here's why. Your knee is not powerful enough to ignite your core muscles, to ignite the hip rotation. So the knee can't turn in first. It's not strong enough to create. So if I do this, my hips aren't going anywhere, right? If I do this, boom, my hips go from the back side. So I said, I'm just telling you what I know, right? This is biomechanics. This is common sense. You take the greatest hitters, they all had explosive hip rotation that is created from the back hip first, not the knee, not the foot, right? The knee turning in and the foot turning in, or as I tell some of my younger students, I want your shoelaces facing forward. That is a byproduct of the back hip exploding after. So let's go in order. The core ignites, the back hip explodes, the knee turns in and the foot turns, and you get complete hip rotation. So please understand that, you know, your knee turning in, yes, but your knee is not strong or powerful enough to create complete hip rotation. It just isn't. It doesn't make any sense, even if you think about it to yourself. How can my knee possibly turn my whole core, my whole waist, my hips? Doesn't work. So the backside explosion is created by a good load back here, weight, here, tap, boom, go, and then your hips start to turn. So the drill that Matthew is going to do right now is basically, again, what I call the backside explosion. So kind of similar. He won't go through the whole hip rotation on this one. It's very similar to the hip rotation, except what we're emphasizing here is that backside. Right. so go ahead, just take your stance. So, that was good. That's me, folks. That's what I do. I trip over everything, and if you all know me, I do all kinds of crazy stuff. So that's not unusual. Just Coach Pete at his finest.
Coach Pete.
Frightening some days. Really is. It's like me not being able to catch a ball for a week. I can't catch a ball. So in this drill, it's not complete hip rotation. It is the emphasizing of the backside explosion. So what he's going to do first, again, is going to tap a few times, keep his weight back. Then on the third or fourth one, he's going to tap, boom, and explode. And what you will see as he goes harder and harder, his shoulders and his hands will start to come forward on their own without doing it on purpose, right? So go ahead.
Do I have to put my bat in?
You push your bat where you would normally put your bat. Yeah. Yep. Good. So you see how his shoulders and his hands started to come forward. So go ahead. So he doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to fix something. Can you make sure that camera's straight, dude? I'm just saying.
It's straight.
No, the human guinea pig behind
It's
the camera.
straight.
Here, take your step. Here. Right? There's a whole. There are a lot of different approaches as to where you hold your hands. Here's all that I'm going to say. That's a video for a different day. Here's all I'm going to say. I follow biomechanics and I follow common sense, right? What is the quickest, easiest way to get your hands through with as few movements as possible? I am a firm believer in where the hands get settled in a proper position based on biomechanics is where they sit. I call that lock position, and then boom, go. So I am not a believer or a teacher in resetting your hands or load and go or bringing your hands back and then bring your hands forward, especially for young hitters. That takes too much time and too much effort. But anyway, another discussion for another day. So we'll let Matthew reset his hands and go again. Yep. Good. One more time. Awesome. Okay. So as you can see, when you snap that back hip really hard, your shoulder and your hands start to come through. That's how powerful your hips are. That's how powerful that backside explosion is. That is the generation of the hip rotation, which is everything. It's your power. So the third drill that we're going to do, which will be the last one for today, is again a takeoff of what he was just doing, but bringing his bat to a hitting position, right? So I have the tee with the ball here, okay? So basically all he's going to do now, he's not going to go as hard. It is an exaggeration of things. So in drills, you kind of exaggerate specific body movements so that when it comes time to do it, it's there. So in this case, he's going to take his stance, load, lock. Anything with me for lock means your hands, right? Tap, 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 boom, and just bring everything here and stop. So what I'm looking for as an instructor when I'm working with kids that do this drill, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the power L back here, right? The development of that strong eye here, and the second power L here, right? So again, you will get a lot of teachers trying to say elevate the ball, get your arms up like this. I don't teach that, okay? The ball will go up because there is a natural elevation in every swing. Again, a whole different conversation for another day, but I focus on here, your power L being somewhere in here to make solid contact with the ball right in the middle of the ball. You don't want to hit the ball on the top. You don't want to hit it on the bottom. You want to hit it in the middle. So I've had this conversation several times with the young students, which to me is very funny, is where they say, Coach, where do you want me to hit the ball? And I say, where it's pitched. And they say, well, no, Like, where on the ball do you want me to hit it? And I say, like, in the middle. No, like, where? In the middle. In the middle. In the middle goes really far.
Write on your name.
It goes this way.
Write on your name.
So what you're trying to do is make contact in the middle of the baseball, and when the natural swing, which has a natural up swing to it, the ball will still go up in the air. Okay? So Matthew's going to show you this last drill. So you're going to tap it 3 times. You're going to do the backside explosion, not as hard, but just bring your hands to the contact position. So as you see when you're doing this drill at home, make sure the tee is in front of the front foot. You don't make contact back here unless you swung really late, right? In front of the front foot. Okay. Okay. So here, perfect. Power L here, power L here. The only thing that I would change and be careful of is that front knee. That front knee doing this, right? So the front knee being bent will cause you to go over the ball, maybe lunge just a little bit. So that means that he kind of came out of his load a little bit. So try it again and try to just turn. Right, if I go from the left side, try to just turn here. If I go here, see my front foot is straighter. Okay, try it again. Better, way better. Popped up. Yep. Okay, so a lot better. When he finished, that front knee was not quite as bent. Right. So remember, when you're going through the hip rotation, this drill, when that front knee bends, you're coming out of your strength. You're coming out of your load, right? So you're gonna kind of lunge a little bit, which is not what we want, right? We want the weight back the whole time. Boom, here. Right? So try to get that knee straight. I'm not saying lock it out, but get it straighter. Keep that weight back. So it means technically you didn't keep your weight back in the swing, so you want to keep your weight back. Try it again. Better. A lot better. So he's falling forward. So falling forward in any drill or even in hitting the baseball is really not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to lose your balance, but because he's going slow and exaggerating movements, what that tells me is he's creating a hip rotation going this way, so you'll fall forward. What you don't want to happen in any of these drills is fall backwards. If you fall backwards, that means your core didn't ignite, your back hip did not explode, and your back foot didn't move, it stayed still. So if I come through a swing like this and I just do this, my back foot doesn't move, I fall back. So if you see a little bit of falling forward, it's really not that bad. You just work on going a little bit harder. So just do one more.
Right, can you tell me why I do the finger thing?
Can, if you want. So Matthew, so again, this is a hands thing, and Matthew's been doing this probably since T-ball, when he learned that you want to settle the bat in the top part of your hand in here. So he just puts his fingers up here, and then just closes it, and that puts the bat in the most powerful part of your hand, right? Everyone that's taken hitting with me should know this. You should know this. But Matthew has been doing it, and he still does it to this day, and gets everything, gets it in the powerful part of his hand and goes through this. So, yeah. Better, much better. Okay. So what? Yeah, you stopped actually, and you were straighter. So, okay. So, just to kind of pull this together, the most important body movement in hitting, just like pitching, is hip rotation. It is how you generate that hip rotation that matters and means something. You generate that hip rotation with your backside hip, your back hip, backside explosion. So for me, the two words that I use that kind of bring it all together very simply: load, lock, explode. What's my load? My load is my back leg, my weight on my back leg, set up biomechanically sound with balance and good posture, tall, right? Lock to me is where your hands go. Again, we'll go over that a different day. And explode is bang. The backside explosion that will bring you through. Your setup is everything, and we'll go over that. Next time we'll go over setup and we'll go over hands as to why biomechanically we set our hands a specific way. So that's it for today. We're going to come back with 2 more videos. So for those of you that follow Major League Baseball, 2 big announcements that came out with players. Chris Sale and Noah Syndergaard now have to get Tommy John surgery. So what I'm going to try to do for you in the next videos is explain to you why this happened, right? I spend a lot of time on social media chatting back and forth with all kinds of baseball fans and experts and whatnot, and I spent a lot of time explaining that it's their mechanics. It's not just bad luck. There is a flaw in their mechanics, and I'm going to point that out in the videos next. I'll do one for Noah Syndergaard. I'm going to do another one for Chris Sale. I'm not going to tell you what the flaw is, so you'll have to watch it. So we'll be back soon with those 2 videos, and then we'll come back with another one with some pitching. For those that are looking for lessons, if you're following me and following my emails, I am going to start giving lessons outside starting this coming Monday. Today is Wednesday. This coming Monday, I'll be up in Lombard at Commons, and I will be at Frontier Park near Neuqua Valley High School, near where I live, during the day, and social distancing will be a part of it. I will promise to stay at least 6 feet away from my students. I could do that, you know. I can teach from I could teach from the window. I could teach from my car. I could teach from anywhere, as long as I can see you. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you want me to evaluate any videos that you have either doing work in drills or hitting or pitching, send those to me and I'll take a look at them. All right? So until next time, Coach Pete out.